What's up, folks, and welcome to another episode of Real Amigos. I am one of your hosts, Chris, and I am here.
COVID version.
I can't even finish the opening line before you have to interrupt me. And so for that, we're going to skip you. I am joined by one of my co-hosts, Phil. Phil, what's up, man? How are you doing?
Great, man. You know, I just survived the 500-year flood.
That is true. We do want to talk about the flood in a second, but before we do that, let's go ahead and introduce Mr. Interrupter himself. Donnie, what's up, man? How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing all right. Hi. How are you, Chris?
Well, you know, I'm slamtastic. So,
Slamtastic.
that's right. So Phil, let's talk about you because you almost got washed off of the globe this week. So tell us what happened.
Well, I got it far less worse. Is that how you would say that? Far less worse? I got it better than most. But yes, our town was on national news for a, what are they calling now, 500-year flood. The worst flood in the history of our known record city. Worst flood on record in our city.
It's crazy, man.
So a lake upriver from us, the dam on it burst. 21.5 billion gallons of water emptied out of that lake in 1 hour. Flooded downstream to another lake that the dam held, but the berms failed. And we had a big flood. My in-laws lost their house. A lady and a couple in our church went home to see their apartment, and it didn't exist anymore. It was a slab. We had 6 or so inches of sewage in our basement because they shut off sewer pumps to preserve the system, and all that floated up into our basement. So yeah, man, great week.
And your toe almost fell off.
And I got an infected toe from walking around in sewage water.
Oh my gosh.
So, but my toe is still intact, and we were able to get a bunch of stuff out of my in-laws' house, but it does have a condemned sticker on it, so that's a bummer. But yes, watch Facebook. You might see an interview for me. I got interviewed for our church's denomination.
Oh, nice.
When you have a condemned sticker on your house, are you allowed to go in it, or are you not allowed to go in it?
The city says they bear no risk. They will take no responsibility for any injury, but it's short.
So it's like swimming without a lifeguard, kind of like, hey, go for it.
Yeah.
But
we had a contractor come in and brace it up because one of the walls like the basement walls, you have 4 basement walls that make up the foundation, and 2 of those walls completely collapsed. And Carrie and Gavin, my son and my wife, were in the house when it happened, and my wife had just been down in the basement checking on the water levels within the minute and a half of it falling in.
Oh.
So could have been worse, but I'll say this, man, 11,000 people were displaced or evacuated, and we have had not one reported flood-related death.
That's awesome.
Except for your toe.
Yeah.
So that's great. I mean, it really is good.
So what you're saying is that 2020 is just the year that keeps giving. Is that
this year
man.
sucks.
This year
sucks. But I'll say this.
Groin shot.
Yeah, I'll tell you this, man. When your town floods, all of a sudden nobody cares about social distancing.
Oh no, there's no masks. No, of course not. Forget that.
No, man. And it's actually been great because, as I guess people know, I'm a pastor and Donnie's pastor, and I haven't physically seen most of my people in 2 months. And so it's kind of been cool because we can go to people's houses, and I'm like, hey, a human, a person, hi. And
yeah. It's
sorry your house is gone, but it's great to see you.
Yes, yeah. So 2020 has been a year, for the books, for sure. And we're technically not even halfway through with it yet. You realize that?
No.
But we do get to look forward to more Joe Biden. So, I mean, all things considered.
Oh, man, that guy.
You know what I'm saying?
Huh.
So,
Entertainment City.
The Democrat Party has,
he
has
was
their
a Democratic
own version of Donald
Hey,
Trump.
listen, Donald Trump on Twitter and Joe Biden just being Joe Biden is some serious entertainment right there, boys.
Oh, man.
Can't beat it.
Look, if they would just take the same ticket, I would vote for both of them together. Trump and Biden.
What a combo.
2020.
Oh man, what a combo.
That'd be amazing.
Trump, Biden. Oh my gosh.
All right, we're not here to talk about politics or
floods
or doomsday, which are all things that we're dealing with. We're going to hopefully escape you from this doomsday and talk about a completely different one way back in 1996 with our movie tonight. But hopefully we can bring a little bit of levity and a little bit of fun. So before we do that, of course, we like to do our favorite segment. So, guys, it's time for Donnie's Top 10!
Top
Five.
Top 5. Oh, I said 10.
It's
All
so
right.
favorite I forgot the name.
So
You can't say 10. We'll get sued.
That's right.
All right.
David Letterman will come after us.
So here's the deal. A few weeks ago, or a few months ago probably at this point, we had a discussion on this podcast about punctuation in movie titles.
Okay.
Mhm.
Specifically, Philip mentioned that he thought it was considered bad luck in Hollywood to end a movie title with a
Question
mark.
mark. Yep.
He mentioned one movie in particular. That movie, do you boys remember which movie that was?
Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Ends with an exclamation point.
He said it did not end with a question mark. It ended with an exclamation point. He was wrong, but that's
What?
okay.
Uh-oh.
It has, in actuality, no punctuation mark
What?
at all,
What?
which is stupider than stupid. But if you know me to any degree, you know that I'm a stickler for punctuation. I'm one of those people. Yes, even in my notes, I put those people in quotations. So here's what I did. I set out on a quest to make a top 5 of movies that ended with punctuation. But it turns out that I've only seen like 6 movies that end with punctuation. And we all know that's not going to work.
No. Because you can't have a top 5 / top 10 list
with
with
6 movies. Especially when I didn't like at least a few of them.
Yeah.
So tonight, I'm going to do a regular top 5. And I'm going to add in a little commentary on some very poorly punctuated film titles.
Nice.
Here we go. Let's start at number 1 with 1970 film Tora!
Those are all exclamation points, right?
This movie, yes, all 3 exclamation points, about the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor. It basically is the most aggressive movie title in the history of movie titles.
I mean, it's really in your face. What does it mean?
The meaning of Tora, if you let me finish,
God
Chris,
It means tiger.
is debated by some.
Uh-oh.
It sounds like tiger, but seems to basically be the Japanese code word for complete surprise, which is pretty spot on considering Pearl Harbor. Not only does this movie have 3 exclamation points, it also had 3 directors. It had an American director and 2 Japanese directors. And it is an epic movie. I've not seen it in a long time. It seems like it was semi-boring, but it is World War II, and I'm kind of a World War II movie guy. So it's on the list. Tora. 3 exclamation points.
Tora.
Number 2, a movie that you guys probably have seen, 2000's Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Question mark at the end. This question marked title, with it also has a comma properly thrown in after brother for good measure, is based on Homer's Odyssey. Only if it happened to a bunch of hicks in Mississippi. If you like folk music, this one is for you.
Yeah.
Oh brother, where art thou?
That's a great. What's the lead song? I am a man of constant sorrows. That's a great song.
Yes, it is a great song. An okay movie, but a better song probably.
Clooney's
Number
great.
3 is 1980's Airplane with an exclamation point at the end. Probably the greatest comedy of all time. Also throws in.
I don't know. Wait.
Hey, this is Donnie's top 5.
The greatest comedy of all time?
Fight me.
I mean, Dumb and Dumber?
Dumb and Dumber is definitely a top 3.
Caddyshack?
Probably also top 3.
Okay, all right, fair. Airplane
I said
is great.
probably the greatest comedy of all time.
It is great.
Also throws in the most sarcastically dramatic exclamation point of all time, and it's perfect. Playing off of, do you guys know where the movie Airplane came from? Why they made this film?
No.
Probably not.
No.
The 1970s.
I'm reading about it right now.
Uh-oh.
The 1970s had a series of airport disaster movies, beginning in 1970 with Airport, then released in 1974, the second one, was called Airport 1975. Followed by
Makes sense.
Airport 77, and then the Concorde, Airport 79. These were big disaster movies of the 70s. They're actually quite lucrative, big box office hits, all starring George Kennedy, if you didn't know who that is.
Nope.
But Airplane is playing off of all those disaster movies. It is the satire that started movie satire. Airplane.
George Kennedy was in Airplane. Was he not?
Don't think he. I
thought
don't
he
remember him being in. No, he was in the Naked Gun movies, but he was not in Airplane.
Oh, yeah. He was in the Naked Gun. He was the police captain.
Those movies
right?
are pretty good too.
Yes.
Those movies are pretty
All right. Coming in at number 4.
Hey, favorite line from Airplane?
Oh my gosh.
Just give me one.
I mean,
Pick one.
my favorite is
I
just
picked the wrong week to stop sniffing glue.
that's my favorite. That whole digression. Pick the wrong week to stop smoking.
I'm not joking, and don't call me Shirley.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
I mean,
I love the
You ever been in a Turkish prison?
I love the
Striker.
The kid, with the IV and the lady playing the guitar and everybody singing along and they pop the IV and the kid's dying. That's one of my favorite.
Do you know where that
scenes.
came
So
from?
good.
That came
No.
from one of the
Did
airport
it?
movies. Had a nun singing with a guitar.
Oh man, I love it.
Nobody knows her, but everyone knows the lady from Airplane.
I love it.
That's
So
satire,
good.
my friend.
I love the drinking
All right,
problem. That's when I developed my drinking.
Oh
problem.
yeah, the drinking problem,
Yeah.
fantastic.
It's good, man. I
like my coffee, like my men
Yes.
black.
Oh my god.
I mean, come on.
That's right. That's
all
a
good
great
stuff.
Line. Did that
All right,
did that originate there?
Yeah, that was a little girl talking to a little
No,
kid.
I know the scene. I'm just saying, like, that's still something that I say today. Like, I mean, not that exact line, but I'll say something like, I like my women like I like my food fast, or like whatever. Like did that originate there?
I assume.
Yeah, I guess so. That's crazy, man. That's such a great line.
Also, probably my favorite line, Phil, if you're asking, is, "Oh, stewardess, I speak jive." All right, coming in at number 4, 1989 film When Harry Met Sally.
One of the best. ...
at the end.
Wait,
which is called what, gentlemen?
It's an ellipsis.
What is the 3 dots called?
It's an
ellipsis.
Right,
an ellipsis.
There's an ellipsis at the end of that movie?
Yes, it does.
Oh, I
didn't know that either until I looked.
That's crazy.
The great modern meet-cute title oddly ends with an ellipsis indicating that something is going to happen once these two characters get together.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense.
I guess the movie is that tale, and it's expertly played by the neurotic Billy Crystal and the rom-com queen, Meg Ryan.
Bam, bam, bam.
Confession, I've never seen that movie.
You haven't? Oh,
really?
My gosh.
How have you never seen When Harry Met Sally?
Oh.
Wow.
I never pushed play on the DVD.
One of my
Correct. Good answer. Good answer.
One of my favorite. I love
All right. Coming in at number 5 is, you guys want to guess? Anybody?
No.
Is Three Amigos.
Yes!
Which is begun with an upside down exclamation
That's right,
point
and ends with a regular.
Bookended with a regular. So our namesake film also has the punctuation that, in my opinion, makes the most sense. The Spanish had the wherewithal way back when their language was drafted, written, or co-opted, or whatever, because I don't know anything about it. They begin their exclamatory and interrogative sentences with an upside-down exclamation point or an upside-down question mark, so you know when you start reading the sentence that it's supposed to be read with that inflection, not when you get to the end.
That makes
so much sense.
So much sense.
And if any film deserves to be bookended by exclamation points,
yes, sir,
it is one about an invisible singing bush in the desert.
You killed him. How was I supposed to know?
So, just to throw in a little extra here, I don't know, hopefully I don't disappear. I might. Did I disappear?
No, yes, but that's fine. Go ahead.
You can hear me, though.
Yes.
So
Chris has been disappeared since we started recording.
You
no
can't
doubt.
see me? You can see me. I'm here.
So here's some left out apostrophes. Couples retreat, no punctuation, should have an apostrophe. Ladies man, no apostrophe. 2 weeks notice, no apostrophe. Then you have movies that have exclamation points that I've never seen, such as Hail Caesar, Hello
Good
Dolly,
movie.
The Informant I have seen, but I left it off my list because it's terrible. And then you have missing hyphens like Eight-Legged Freaks, the 40-year-old version, Grown Ups, etc., etc. That is it for Donnie's top 5 movies with punctuation in the title, specifically ending the movie title. That's
Very
it.
nice. Very nice. Good job. That was a
Yeah.
good list. I like
Thank
those.
you very
Those are good
much. I'm
movies.
here all week.
I feel like that you know I was waiting for what about Bob? I figured that would have definitely made it in there.
Dude, I'm angry now.
I know. What about Bob's a good one? It's got a question mark.
I had that written down somewhere. How did I left it off my
I don't
list.
know. I don't know. You just
Unreal.
let it go. All
Put
right,
it on
guys.
there.
So let's jump into why we're here. Let's talk about a movie. A movie that is going to be very interesting to talk about. Because I think we're going to probably all have 3 very different views of that movie. But we're going to talk about the 1995 sci-fi, maybe cult classic would be the right way to say it. 12 Monkeys.
Yeah, I would say
Should
that.
the word classic be in any description of this
So
movie?
we'll talk about it. So we're going to talk about 12 Monkeys tonight. It was written by David and it's a white husband and wife. David and it's the Peoples.
Janet Peoples.
David and Janet Peoples. Terry Gilliam is the director. We have Bruce Willis, Madeline Stowe, Christopher Plummer, Brad Pitt. Great cast. This is your synopsis. It says, in a future world devastated by disease, a convict is sent back in time to gather information about the man-made virus that wiped out most of the human population on the planet. To continue our time travel theme of the second season of Real Amigos, we are talking about 12 Monkeys. So let's start with just a general question that I like to start with. When did you see it? So was this your first time? Not? In the theater? Donnie, we'll start with you. Where'd you see this at?
Okay. I did not see it in the theater. I saw it probably back 20 years ago-ish. I saw it on video. This is probably about the 3rd time I've seen it.
Okay.
I kind of like it. I kind of dig it, but it's definitely weird. And I'm not a big fan of Terry Gilliam's other movies because I've seen a few of them.
Yes.
Like Brazil, I did not like that movie at all.
Yeah, he's something.
He's a weirdo.
He he is. Yes. Yeah. I would agree with
yes,
that.
this is probably about my 3rd time.
Have you seen
it.
The Fisher King?
Yes, also weird.
Is it?
But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed Fisher King more than. That's probably my favorite Terry Gilliam movie.
Okay.
That's not saying a lot.
Because I was going to say, in watching this and doing kind of some research on it, they talked a lot about how Jeff Bridges was originally who he wanted to be.
Bruce Willis.
Yeah, Cole. Yeah, Bruce Willis's character, and because they worked together on The Fisher King, and it kind of made me want to go back and watch it, which I may do at some point. Phil, tell me about you. Is this your first time seeing this movie?
Yeah. I started it 3 days ago. I fell asleep. Then I started it the next day, and I fell asleep.
That's right.
And then I started it today, where I left off. And I was in the middle of a World War I scene, and I was completely confused.
Yeah, well, so am I.
Like,
so we're going to talk about that.
How did I get here? So I had to I'm like, is this the same movie? What's happening? So I did. I don't understand this movie. I will say this: this movie got better. It started out like terrible and got better. We can talk more about that. But no, this is the first time I'd ever seen it. This is one of those movies that every time I saw a preview for it or I looked at the poster for it, I thought, doesn't look interesting. This looks like one of those movies where the people in it are going to do something that affects their brain and gives them a headache, and then they're going to get a bloody nose, and that always bothers me in movies. So I'm
down with that. I agree with Philip on that. We talked about it the other day. Like Firestarter.
Not good.
Way back in the day, the dad, every time he did the thing, his nose would bleed.
That's one of the hardest things about watching Stranger Things.
Yep.
Yeah,
11 does
buddy.
that too.
Stranger Things. No,
Yeah.
11. That's not good for you. You
Yeah.
shouldn't do that.
Anytime you do something so stressful, it causes your nose to bleed. It's like you're gonna have an aneurysm. You're gonna die.
Not good.
That's
Don't do
that's
that.
what you do.
Also-
I'm pretty sure that every X-Men movie has had a point where Professor X is using his powers, and the only way they can show that he's really using them is to make it have a nosebleed.
Yeah.
I would almost say that every movie he's done that at some point.
But it turns out this movie doesn't do that.
No, it doesn't.
But it did give me a headache and a bloody nose.
Yeah.
I'll bet that you felt dirty watching this
Dude,
movie.
so dirty.
And
Terry Gilliam
So
movies
dirty.
are always dirty.
they are very dirty.
Always.
Yeah.
All of them.
Dude,
They're
so gross.
We
It's
also
like, come on, Bruce.
Yeah. When he shows up for the first time in the past, at the very beginning in 1990, and he's bowled over, and he's like slobbers coming down off of his face, and he just looks
Yes,
terrible.
I didn't understand any of that.
He looks terrible. Okay, so I was just gonna say
Can I posit a question, similar question
Yeah.
to the start of our last podcast?
All right, let's have it.
But I'm going to ask the same question. Is Bruce Willis a good actor?
Absolutely not. No.
I wrote that down.
No.
I wrote what happened to Bruce Willis.
What do you mean? What
Okay.
happened? When did it happen?
So hang on. So let's talk about. Okay, so we have early Bruce Willis, which will basically just focus on like moonlighting. So did we like this Bruce Willis? He was funny.
Oh, heck yeah.
Kind of goofy.
He's
okay.
funny.
So then he got
I
his big.
think Bruce Willis was funny back then.
He was.
Yeah.
He was. And so then he somehow in the middle of Stallone and Schwarzenegger, he got pulled into this Die Hard role where he had to be he had the tough guy.
But he was funny in the first Die Hard
He
movie.
was funny. He was great. That's what made him so much better than those other guys. Is he was kind of like an everyman, and I think that's his
Wait.
appeal.
Better than what other guys? You're not going to sit on this podcast
Stallone.
and tell me he's better than Arnold.
He's better than
'Cause you
Stallone and Schwarzenegger.
Stop. You stop.
Like,
you
He's
shut your
better in
mouth.
what way? What are you comparing?
What way?
I mean,
Arnold
every
is
way.
king.
I mean, he's
Arnold is the 80s and 90s king, man.
whatever.
Get out.
Whatever.
I will leave this set right now.
Get off the set, dude. Okay, that's just the way it is. I mean, outside of like
Bruce
actual
Willis has always
mass,
played Bruce Willis. That's the problem.
Maybe,
He's a guy that only plays himself. He's cocky.
That may be fair.
He's snarky. People got tired of it over time, and he's not in anything anymore.
I mean, I think the common scuttlebutt.
Although I did enjoy Jeff
is
Wish.
that he's terrible in like real life. Like he's terrible to work with.
Oh yeah, he's a terrible person in real life. That's all I've ever heard about
What
him.
about Armageddon? Did you like Armageddon?
Loved it, saw it 1,000 times.
Yeah, but he's still himself.
He
He's
is.
still
But he's
cocky
playing a
Bruce
jerk in
Willis.
that movie.
Yeah,
Right, he's the same guy.
A jerky, roughneck drill guy.
Yeah.
I just don't think he's like. What's he good in?
Die
What's
Hard.
What's he? Well, yeah, okay, Die Hard. Yeah, Garrett.
I
Armageddon,
Look,
I guess.
look who's talking.
Oh, dude, shut your
Oh,
mouth.
fantastic!
What
Look who's
about
talking.
what about
Academy Award winning.
Sixth Sense? What about Unbreakable?
No, I
He
think in The Sixth Sense and in Unbreakable, he plays this character where he's kind of like,
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of acting and emotion going on in those movies at all.
That look
Very
on his
vanilla.
face at the beginning when he's like, you're like, what is wrong with you, man?
The Sixth
I'm
Sense
being
is
serious.
great, but it's not great because of Bruce Willis.
I'm not trying to like. I don't want to be I don't want to be like disparaging, but I could
Too
not
late.
tell most of this movie whether or not Bruce Willis was supposed to be playing somebody who had some sort of special need.
That's
Yeah, he
fair.
is kind of out of
Yeah,
it a lot.
That's fair.
And
What
it's
about?
like,
But they
is
explain
there
it. I
something
think they
wrong with this
explain
guy?
They explain it with the time travel, don't they? Kind of messes with people's minds and stuff when they jump back
No,
and forth a
he
lot.
says that. He says you're not meant to live in two dimensions, but that's when he finally concedes that he's crazy and he thinks there's something wrong with him, and he himself doesn't even believe he's time traveling at that point. That's his explanation.
Yeah, I think.
Oh,
But I don't
you
think-
did say that.
Yeah. What about Yeah, he was in Pulp Fiction. Was he good in Pulp Fiction?
He was just plain
Same
Jane,
guy.
man.
He just plays the same guy.
He was
Same
He doesn't
guy.
have any range of emotion, man, ever.
All right. Well, listen. I will listen to your case
All
on
right,
Bruce
enough with
Willis.
Bruce
I'll,
Willis.
I'll listen to your case on Bruce Willis, but I will follow up with it is so very clear that the opposite is true of Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt is phenomenal in this movie. He
Yeah,
is
he's bonkers.
he is like I mean he won a Golden Globe for it. It was his first nomination for an Oscar, and he is head and shoulders above every other person in this movie. He is great, and he is
He's
Yeah,
lit, dude, in this movie.
yeah he's
he's
As they
the only
say.
one doing any acting.
that's true. That is true. That's fair. Okay, so let's
Yeah, he's. Yeah. Good.
Okay, so let's talk about because we are here to talk about time travel, but I don't want to get to time travel yet because we always like to do that at the towards the end. So real quick, just to kind of because I have a couple things that I don't really understand. I'm hoping Donnie you can help me. I've watched this movie 3 times now. So
Oh boy.
and by the way, I didn't answer the question. We didn't come back around to me, but I had never seen this movie until we watched it this time. So I'm in the same boat as Phil.
I didn't even know this movie was a time travel movie
I
until
didn't either
until
we
it showed
started
up on
putting
this
list
list.
together. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
absolutely. So basically we are given a dystopian future, which basically just looks like December 2020 is what it looks like when the movie starts. And
Hey, bro, some parallels in this movie. We'll talk about.
yeah, I mean, of course, of all the movies and of all the times. And by the way, if you're listening to this and thinking that we picked this movie because of the outbreak and everything going on, we had this movie written down a year ago. So maybe we predicted all this.
It was very
So,
prescient.
or maybe we time traveled. Maybe we started the coronavirus. I don't know.
No, we're not. None of us are drooling, so
That's
we
true.
didn't time
That's
travel.
true. That's true. And I haven't
Oh,
had I haven't had bat lately. So okay. So the movie starts out. Bruce Willis gets volunteered to go out into the world, and they're basically just catching specimens of insects and to do testing, whatever. But then they say
is
he
that
has a
him
huh?
at the beginning in the plastic suit,
Yes.
Yes,
picking up the
That's him.
bugs and then seeing the bear? That's him?
That's him.
that's
yes.
him.
Totally didn't. I lost that. It was so
Oh yeah.
confusing.
Wow.
That's the least confusing thing in the movie, Phil.
That's like the
Well,
first
no
5
doubt.
You're in
minutes.
big trouble.
No doubt. I am. Undoubtedly.
And you watched the first 5 minutes like 3 times, and you still missed that.
No. I didn't start over each time. I just
Okay.
picked it up.
Okay.
But I did find this. I did find this for you guys
Let me see it.
really quickly.
No. Phil is showing us a picture
So much
of him
drool.
in the prison in
I
1990.
don't know why
it's
he's
so
wearing a
much drool.
plastic jacket.
No, I assume that's what he was time traveling in.
I guess.
Right?
Yes.
Okay, so let's talk about this. So they
let's
say
talk
that
about
they
it.
have a special task for Bruce Willis. It requires somebody with a strong will or a strong mind. And so they have deemed Bruce Willis to be able to do that. And so they basically just say, "Well, take off, some time off of your sentence if you go." I have this whole other side question about what the crap is going on in 2025 because, like, why was he arrested? What was his crime? Is there a court?
He was violent.
If he gets out of what does he do? Like, do they have a society? They seem to all live underground, but we didn't. All we saw were prison cells, and then that little room where the scientists were. I don't know what any of that looks like, but that's fine. So he volunteers to go to time travel. He gets time travel. He's supposed to go to 95. He goes to 1990, and he meets our lead lady. In the psychiatry in the psych ward. Now, Donnie made me watch on Movie Swap a couple weeks ago. He made me watch One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and now we're watching another movie. And let me be
I
very
thought about
clear.
this.
Let me be very clear to you. There are a lot of things that I tolerate, but one thing that really bugs me is psych wards. I've always had this fear of somebody leaving me in a psych ward, and just never coming back to get me. And I was actually thinking about this watching this because right after I watched this for the third time, I switched over and watched Drunk History. And the episode of Drunk History was about the Pulitzer paper and when they investigated one of the psych wards where they put their first female reporter into the psych ward for like 3 weeks. And then he went and was like, "Hey, she's not crazy." And they wrote this whole expose to basically expose them. But I just thought I was thinking that lady could have just been stuck in there. You know what I'm saying? What happened if Pulitzer died and just never went back, and nobody knew she was in there, and now she's just stuck in crazy land forever. And that's what I didn't like about One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, right? Because we get that moment where Jack Nicholson finds out that, oh no, you have to be here until they think that you're okay to leave, and he's like, holy crap, I got to get out of here. And so I don't like psych wards, and so we get this exact same thing going on with 12 Monkeys, but we do get introduced to Brad Pitt. So I want to talk about Brad Pitt for a minute. I did a little bit of research on him just because I thought he was fantastic. He actually worked with a speech coach and with basically with a psychiatrist to learn how to be crazy. And I thought he was.
He's super method, isn't he? Chris,
Dude.
that's Brad Pitt's whole thing, isn't it?
Yeah, I
don't
guess
know.
so.
Maybe.
Dude, he was so good in this movie. I thought he was, and I thought they did a good job. So spoilers to the end, sleight of hand, but I absolutely thought he was going to be the bad guy from the very first time that I saw him. I thought he was going to be the cause.
Yeah.
And they kind of lead you to believe that several times.
Oh yeah.
I wasn't certain because I kind of was his name, the guy that winds up being the bad guy.
Oh yeah, I don't even know his name.
I did, but anyway, his name is David Morse. I thought that I kind of picked. I mean, you got to pick that up right at her lecture, like he's the bad guy. But they sort of dupe you by immediately after you meet him, she gets abducted by Bruce.
Yes. Yeah.
In his COVID-19 outfit.
It so is. It's crazy. Okay, so let's talk. So what I want to get to is the World War I thing, because Donnie, I'd like you to kind of explain this to me if you can. So he goes to 1990. He's not supposed to be in 1990. The outbreak is in 1996, and so he's like, oh, holy crap, I'm in the wrong place. So he spends some time in the psych ward, which is bonkers. I hated it. I hated every part of it. I don't like that stuff. But Brad Pitt was fantastic. He gets moved back to the future, and then. I do like that they try to convince him that he was in the right time, which is really what starts jacking with Bruce Willis's mind.
Right.
And so then they send him back. But when they send him back, he goes in World War II.
World War
Or World War I with his cellmate.
With his cellmate,
which they never explain.
Okay, yeah. So Donnie, where are we at? What are your thoughts here?
Oh, don't drag me into your.
And he's naked.
And he's naked. Yeah, he's naked.
Is he? Oh, he is naked.
He is naked.
He's like naked in the trench, and nobody. It's like, and they draw a gun on him. It's like, bro, he's obviously not armed. Help him out. He's naked.
Well, I mean, obviously it's a setup for later in the movie because that's when she finds out he's not crazy. She sees his picture.
Sure. But how did his
paper or something?
How did his prison mate get there? So is his prison mate also a time traveler?
Maybe they sent him ahead. I'm assuming they send these guys out like scouts, to get the stuff, and maybe they both got sent to the wrong time. I don't know, man. I didn't understand it that well either. I was trying to figure out if you could have misplayed the timing, like, oh. Does 1990 sound like 1914 or 15?
But then when he gets yanked out of the World War I scene, he goes straight to 96. It's not like he goes back to the future.
Right.
As far as we know.
Now, here's my take on that was that they took out a whole sequence of events there. Like that he went back home.
And then went back.
I don't think so. I took it like a pit stop.
I took it as two different trips. Like that
was. Well, that's fair because everything in this movie is so spotty and jumpy. You don't know. You're like, what is happening?
See, but knowing Terry Gilliam, that's probably very intentional. That you leave confused.
Yeah. Well,
so Chris, you didn't even mention that the movie begins with this whole scene in the airport.
Oh, that's right.
There's a scene of
flashback.
A guy running.
That's right.
Through the airport, and we don't see any faces, and he gets shot down dead.
Yes.
And it ties in. He sees it. It's Bruce Willis that sees it in his mind, right?
So wait a second.
He keeps seeing it.
Wait a second. So Phil, when you saw this scene, what did you think the link was? Bruce Willis is the kid, right? like.
I knew Bruce Willis was the kid.
Okay. Was there?
I didn't know that it was going to be Madeline Stowe.
Okay.
I thought it was going to be Brad Pitt
Okay.
because it looked like he had a ponytail.
Yeah. Well, it was Brad
Basically,
Pitt for a second.
It
What now?
was.
He has a flashback where he sees Brad Pitt in his flashback.
In the airport?
Yes.
In the airport.
About midway through the movie, he has another flashback. This time he sees Brad Pitt wearing the white suit with the long red hair. He sees Brad Pitt's face.
Are you sure that wasn't David Morse?
No, that's what
What?
ends up being, but that there is a scene in the middle of the movie where he sees Brad Pitt's face, yes. In the
Okay.
flashback.
In the
Well,
airport.
In the airport.
Dressed like David Morse's character.
Yes.
Bull.
I'll show it to you later. We don't have time to show it to you right now.
Okay, well, is it because he changed history somehow? Did that change? Did it ripple time effect?
That's
No,
a
because
great
I think
question,
that whole
Donnie.
thing is him. I think that's him throwing in. I think Madeline Stowe explained that. He's just filling in the information like a kid who can't remember all the details. And when he thinks in his mind that it's Brad Pitt, then his brain fills in the details. That's Brad Pitt.
Yes. I would think that's kind of where I would fall as well.
Because I think this whole movie is about how no matter how hard you try, you can't change the past.
Ooh.
There is no past. Doesn't somebody say something like there is no? No, that was something else. Never mind.
No, I just had a whole thought that wasn't right.
Okay, so let's talk about time travel for a minute. Wait, go ahead, Donnie. Go ahead. Go.
Do we ever figure out who the voice was that kept talking to him?
No.
Kept calling him Bob.
Yeah.
Yeah, kept calling him Bob. Was that like a
I don't know.
cellmate? Or was it one of the council talking to him through time? Or was that his own brain? We don't know.
What if it's possible that this whole movie is fake? It's just happening in his crazy brain for real.
Well, I mean, we get
It's
that
certainly
right
possible.
because that's what he actually starts to think that. Which
Right. He
was
starts to
very
come to
interesting.
grips with his psychosis.
Yeah.
And is, by the way, at that moment, the most at peace than he has been the whole movie.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah. He's like, no, this is all fake. Like I don't know what you're thinking. This is all fake. No, I thought that was really good.
So, but what it ends up being, though, ultimately, is he is the kid. He's also the man. He watches himself get killed.
Correct.
But the crisis is averted right after that. So the cycle is broken, right?
No.
Yeah, because the old lady's on the airplane. She says, I'm in insurance.
Right, but then what?
She
Yeah.
takes that dude out in the plane.
She does?
Oh, wait a second.
Yeah.
So
You're saying
think
the whole
you think
ending.
the movie ends with the lady murdering him?
Because
Bro,
now
that's
they
the whole
know.
point.
Because now they know
Who
who
it is?
Yeah, they know who.
did it.
They send her
Holy
back.
crap!
She gets on the. She's one of the
What?
council lady. The
Yeah,
lady.
no, I knew
I
that.
was
They send her.
wondering.
They ID him. They send her back. She gets on the plane, and they're sitting next to each other. And he says da da da, and then she says, "I'm so and so. I'm in insurance.
Holy
Insurance, as in
crap!
I am the backup plan. I'm taking you out. Yes. So my assumption is she kills that Joker,
That is
and
I
before he
fantastic.
can spread the
I
virus.
just assumed that she was still alive in the future.
Oh no! She went back and killed that dude.
That's what I thought too. Phil, me and you were on the same place.
That's why they show Bruce Willis as a kid after that walk out to the car. He looks a little happier. He gets in the car. Everything's changed now. He's never going to see that cycle again. He's not going to travel in time anymore. That's it.
Holy Frank!
So you just now realize that that's what's happening there.
I didn't understand why the old lady was there.
I'm in insurance.
I got all that. I heard it all. I'm just obviously like clueless.
Yeah.
I thought it was some implication that she was part of the original spread, but I guess she couldn't have been there and caught it and still been in the future. That makes sense now.
Yeah. Holy cow.
No. She right after the scene that we're looking at on the plane, she calls the Millennium Crew midair.
Right.
They grab
The back half of the
infection
airplane.
dude, yank him out of the plane, and they put the fakes in, and everything's cool. Everything's fine.
That's crazy. Okay. That changed the entire movie because up until right now I had no idea what the end was.
Yeah. Well, let's talk
that's
about
on
this.
my notes to talk about.
That makes. So this whole situation with the TSA or whatever it was called in 1995, where they're like, open these biological samples, please.
Yeah,
what
that
the
was.
heck was
Come
that?
on.
Yeah, that was crazy.
What are y'all doing?
Who does that? Who smells something that has to be sealed in a bottle? Like, here, take a whiff. Okay.
That is probably the worst part of this movie by far. Is like, and they did it for like 5 minutes. They're like smelling it, and he's waving it around, and it's like, okay, guys,
But this was 96 when you could walk. You could literally, in the 90s, pre 9/11, you remember you could walk into the airport all the way to the jetway without a ticket.
Yeah,
I miss
In the
those days.
1960s,
I miss those days.
you could just like do anything on an airplane.
Yeah, of
Anything.
course, anything,
Literally.
anything.
And now they're
All
like,
right, Chris, talk about time travel. What do you want to say about time travel?
So, well, no, I mean,
This is my favorite time machine besides the DeLorean so far.
okay, so let's
Basically,
let's talk about time
him.
travel.
They put him into like a big plastic tube, and they like inject him into the time tunnel.
Yeah.
Like whoop, and he's in.
But we
that
don't
was probably
actually
their
know
whole
what
special
happens.
effects budget.
Super primitive.
So we don't actually know what happens though, so which is interesting.
Yeah, time is inside that tunnel they inject him in. Time is traveling nonstop, really fast, and he just shoots into it.
Which is probably why
That's
they
what I
can miss
think.
their destination at times.
Right.
Because they're trying to hit a moving target.
You know, I
There
got to
you
be
go.
honest with you. I'm still a little floored that we solved this thing. I just told you I watched this movie 3 times and I did not pick up on what happened. So I call that really bad filmmaking. If you can walk out with
Why do you
no
call it
idea
that?
what's happening,
That's what she's doing.
it makes sense.
That's
now.
why she's there.
Now that you said it, yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense. I was with Phil. I was
Like,
under the
I
impression
thought-
that
go ahead.
she was just one of the survivors of the outbreak that ends up leading the revolution or whatever of the underground mole people. That's what I thought. I thought that it was just like timing her.
And she just happened to sit next to that guy.
Yes, it does. Yes, your understanding of it makes much more sense now that we're talking about it. But at the moment, it didn't.
It would have helped if they had like shown her like drop something in his drink.
Yeah, just
Or
something.
just give the dummies like me in the audience a slight clue of exactly what she's doing there.
Or have like a gun, in her bag, that she just kind of moves around for a second and you see it. Something. That's all. That's all I'm saying.
It's ambiguous on purpose to a degree, but I mean, it's there.
Sure.
Well, so this is what I was.
Oh, well.
So this is what I was going to say, is that there's absolutely no purpose of this movie. It was what I was going to say before the revelation, because at the end of the movie, it just ends like it began, where Bruce Willis watches himself die.
So I'm wrong too then. The whole notion that you can't change the past is not true at all.
The door. Yeah.
Because they did change the past, and they did so by
They scouted the past. They found the root of the problem. They someone back. It's a Terminator scenario.
But it wasn't the first time.
It's Kyle Reese.
What?
It is Kyle Reese. It is Kyle Reese. So what? Okay. So when we come to the idea that, okay, so let's talk about time travel then. All right, because this is my favorite part of the whole thing. All right, so let's talk about time travel for a second. Here's the time travel. The time travel question that I have is kind of what we're getting at is are we watching? So basically, we're watching a loop, right? So we are watching. Are we watching two different timelines? We have to be, right? It can't be the same timeline if young Bruce Willis lives. It's a brand new timeline.
Right.
A
But
new loop.
how many times did he live that timeline though?
76.
That's what I want to know. How many times? Like, because he obviously lived it at least once because he had memory of that death. So I'm just gonna say the one time, Chris.
Yeah,
He saw it the one time.
That was my second guess.
But there's the scene that I'm telling you about, which I will send you guys later, where he sees Brad Pitt in
But I
the
just
white
think that's
suit.
bad memory stuff. I think that's just what happens to all of us when we
Maybe
see
it's just
something tragic as a
variations.
kid.
Maybe he's reliving this over and over until he can get to the person.
Groundhog Day?
Maybe.
And
over and over.
seems to be no inclination of that. I'm going with one time.
One time. So he
One
lived.
time.
There's no way to know.
Yeah, but
we
then
can't know that.
how do you explain him having the memory of himself dying if that person did, like, it's a different person? The young Bruce Willis at the beginning of the movie is watching himself die from the end of the movie, but that Bruce Willis at the beginning of the movie, so it's not a memory then. So we're actually watching the future from the very beginning.
What?
You're crazy.
No, listen. Young Bruce. Okay, listen. So let's say original 1996, which is when this movie starts. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Before the outbreak, we have Bruce Willis watching himself die.
Sure.
That's the memory. He's watching somebody in the airport die in 1996. Right?
No.
Yes.
Or
just before 1996, 1995, whatever it is. Just before the outbreak.
Okay, yeah. He's a kid in 90.
95. 96.
Okay, 95. Yeah. So that is Bruce Willis. Yes, that's accurate.
But he's watching himself from the future die also in 1996.
Right. Sure.
Right.
But when he's a kid, he hasn't been there before.
Correct.
So how is he watching himself die?
He's there now. Travel. What are you talking about?
It's time travel.
What you're watching.
So dumb. This is what bugs me about you guys not getting the lady on the plane. Bruce Willis is a child, and she looks exactly the same.
Yeah.
No, I was confused by that.
In the future.
I was rapidly trying to do the math in my brain. Like, how old is he? That's got to be 40 years later at least.
Yeah. No, we get it, Donnie. We're with you now. We missed it the first time.
Here's what I'm saying, Chris.
Wow, this is a first on this program, just for the record.
Where Donnie got the.
Usually, I'm the guy
that's
that
true.
misses
That is
it.
true.
Yeah.
And you guys miss it. I feel really
Chris,
good right now. This is a good week for me. Sorry you guys had crappy weeks. It's a good week for me.
Good week. You're watching older. Everything you're seeing in this movie is through the eyes of older Bruce Willis.
Yeah, but old Bruce Willis is watching himself as a kid watch himself die, which hasn't happened yet.
He's not watching himself. He is himself.
But he's
not
still
watching the
alive.
Kid. He is the kid.
Died at the beginning. So he
Yeah.
has a memory. Yeah. He has a memory of watching himself die, but he's still alive.
Because he's...
Dude, why do you do this every time?
Oh, yeah.
It's time travel.
It doesn't work.
I was listening to an interview that a guy named Ben Shapiro, you probably know.
Yeah.
He did an interview with Orson Scott Card, the guy that wrote Ender's Game. And he was like, there is no time travel. There could never be time travel because time is just a circle, and it never you can never travel through time.
Yeah.
You're always in the time that you're in, no matter what. And that's Phil's theory, right? Isn't that your thing? There's only the present. There's no past, no future.
There's no past or future. You're just in the present.
You're just living.
All I'm saying is if there isn't a repeat or if there isn't a cycle, we have to understand. Okay, let's forget about Bruce Willis. Let's think about Donnie. Okay, let's put Donnie. Put you in the seat. Okay, if you are going to
Sure.
die, if you're going to be shot at an airport 2 years from now, how can you have a memory of it when it hasn't happened yet? That's what I'm saying.
Because it didn't happen 2 years from now. It happened 10 years ago.
But not for you. Not for you, it didn't. Because you are
How
still
can you
alive.
go back in time at all is the question, Chris.
By being squeezed out of a giant human-sized toothpaste tube.
That thing was cool. I like that part.
Oh, crap.
So, all right. Nobody, you can't explain time travel. Here's the question. Did you guys at all enjoy, I didn't think Madeline Stowe was great as far as acting, but I liked the twist, not twist, it was kind of a twist, that she started buying into, like she started becoming kind of the radical one.
She was,
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
she starts off, she's the
Yes.
psychiatrist, and she's like, hey man, calm down, it's all good,
Yeah.
you know, and then all of a sudden she's like, oh snap.
Yeah.
Like she
He's
goes
old,
all
yeah.
in.
Yeah.
At the same time, Bruce Willis is pulling back, like, I'm
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah,
Like,
yes.
I'm a nut job.
Yes.
You should stop listening to me.
Yes.
And she's like, no,
Yeah.
no.
No, it turns
I'm
out you're
in.
right. The only problem I have with it, I like that play. I like that storytelling. The only problem I have with it is it's just not believable. I don't know. But I guess they did put in some good evidence. She did say I'm losing my faith. I liked some of those elements. She did have the picture of him in that World War I picture, which is uber convenient, by the way.
Of
Well,
course.
sure. The only World
But-
War I scene we had just happened to be something she had a picture of. Yeah, I would call that
Happens to be
convenient.
That's why they
photographed.
put it in.
I would definitely call that convenient.
So,
Okay, so let's.
but and she got a copy of it.
We need to.
Uh,
We need to start wrapping up. Which, as Phil will let us
I did
know,
like I liked those elements. I liked so there were some cool philosophical elements here. Brad Pitt's take, he says there's no truth, only popular opinion
that's
or
good.
something like that,
Yeah.
which I don't agree with. I'm not saying I agree with that premise, but in the days of COVID-19 and social distancing and wearing masks, I do feel that way. I feel like certain things are and this is this movie was written in an era previous to social media, but I feel like in an era of social media, that's so true. That the truth is just the mass accepted information, and everybody's like, oh well, we have to wear masks. Why do we have to wear masks? Because everybody just group thinks. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And why are we doing social distancing and quote unquote staying home orders or quarantining?
Phil's going to get hate mail from all of our New York listeners.
Yeah, so I'm not worried about it. So it just is all very like it's super super poignant because it's the day we're living in, right? I like that. I liked her whole thing where she likened psychiatry to the new religion of the day. And basically, we tell people what's true and what's not true, and we tell people if they're crazy.
Yeah,
it was pretty good. She wasn't a great actress in this movie, and it turns out she kind of has man hands. But
Yeah, she wasn't great.
Just a side note,
But-
just a small side note.
side note, yeah. But she was fine. It's whatever. Nobody was great in this other than Brad Pitt. I didn't understand why Brad Pitt was in that dinner party. That was a weird scene.
Well, that's because it's his dad.
Oh yeah.
His dad's
I
like
get
trying
it,
to
I
bring
just
him
don't-
back in the thing.
I know, but
When
he was
he's
like sleeping. Even he thought there was a moment in this movie when you should sleep.
And when he was talking to him, and he was like laying on some dude's bed, like on top of the dude. There was this whole scene where he was cracking me up because he was just like
He's just crawling over people.
He's so good.
Brad Pitt.
I felt bad for all the other
hands.
psych patients.
Yeah, Brad Pitt's hands say a lot. He's always used his hands really well. In this movie, a ton.
Yeah.
Has Brad
He does
Pitt
a lot
ever
of
been?
he does a lot of snappy kind of moves.
Yeah.
with
He
his
throws
hands.
a bird a
great.
few times too. Just inexplicably.
Oh, yeah.
He'll like
A
Yeah.
bunch.
punctuate a
A bunch.
sentence with throwing
Which
the
I
bird.
think is
A
funny.
bunch of
Which I
times.
think is super, super funny. Yeah.
Lots of butts in this movie too.
You're going to love my ratings then.
Yes.
All right, hang on. So we do need to wrap
Wait.
up. Phil
Can I
always
ask? Well,
points
can I
out that
can I
when
book in this conversation real quick with my second question?
Sure.
Is there a movie that is there a moment where has Brad Pitt ever not been good in something?
Brad Pitt's he's a good actor.
He's good, man. I
He's
mean,
a dull
fine.
human. If
in
you've
all
ever
the
watched
things
him
that
get
I've seen, I
interviewed
think
on
he's been
any talk
great.
shows, he's dull. What, Chris?
I just said
I
I'm
think
trying to
he's a
think. In all the things
weirdo.
that I've seen him in, I think he's been great. So
Yeah,
Yeah,
I can't think.
he's
He's
good.
great. He's great.
He's no Bruce Willis.
I mean, he's definitely no Bruce Willis, and thank God for that. Okay, so real quick, let me because we're gonna run through like last notes. I know Donnie, you normally have a couple little things to throw out, so just want to kind of preface this. I normally say we got to wrap up, and then we normally talk for another hour. So I apologize. We're gonna actually try to wrap up. So we got to get our reviews in a second, which we'll do. But let's go round robin. If there are any like final thoughts, anything that we missed that you want to throw out, Donnie, I'll start with you, man. What you got?
I don't have much. I'll just kind of. My main question I wrote down was, does Cole really think he's crazy, or is he just trying to? Is it like reverse psychology? Like, if I talk myself into it, then none of this is real, kind of thing. I kept wondering, like, is he just? I don't know. It was just kind of a weird deal. I don't have much notes on this movie. Couldn't really figure out how to take notes on this movie.
That's fair. Well, you know what?
It's super weird.
We'll forgive you because you basically solved the entire thing. So that's okay. We'll forgive you for that.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much.
I'm telling you, coming into like my biggest note that I had written down was I don't understand what the resolution is.
But now you do.
And now I do. And now it makes total sense.
There you go.
Except for the fact that you can't have a memory of yourself dying if you haven't died. So, there's that. Phil, what about you?
See, Chris, I'm going to blow your brain here. I'm going to blow up your brain here for a second. Here's my belief that if you could travel back in time,
okay,
and you could then go back in time and see yourself, you are not yourself. You're a different person. So he's not having a memory of himself dying. He's having a memory of that guy dying.
What?
No, but it still doesn't work because that guy is him. Phil, it doesn't
No,
work.
it's not. Not anymore.
How are you not yourself?
Because the minute you travel back in time, you're two different people in the same space. You're not yourself. I don't believe the Back to the Future thing. If Brad Pitt, if Bruce Willis went back in time and interacted with his 8-year-old self and shot his 8-year-old self in the head and killed him, his 52-year-old self would not cease to exist because he's there now.
I agree with that.
So his memory of that old guy dying isn't a memory of himself. It's just something he saw at the airport when he was a kid.
But how do you?
Because the old guy would have never died because he didn't come back and die yet.
Obviously he did.
So then we are in a cyclical cycle where this has happened before.
A cyclical cycle?
Or it's cyclical.
Right. I'm not saying, Chris, that it hasn't happened before. I'm just saying it had a first happening and then it had a last happening.
Well, my baloney has a first name.
Go ahead, Donnie.
Would my 50-year-old self that just shot my 8-year-old self, would I have the memory of getting shot by myself?
Right. Maybe.
But if I would have the same memories, I'm the same person.
Yeah.
What?
How are you two different people?
Yeah,
you're the same person.
I Phil, I get what you're saying. They're two different people in that moment, but they still share the same memories. 52-year-old Bruce Willis has the same memories as 10-year-old Bruce Willis, but he's not dead, so that memory doesn't exist.
Let it go, man.
Let it go.
I don't know, man.
All right, let's review this movie.
All
right.
Yes.
Let's. I love it. It's great. I will.
Hey,
What? Oh.
review away.
Okay. Sorry, Alexa just popped
Who are
on.
you talking to, Chris?
Oh, yeah, it's Alexa. My bad, dude. My bad. It's Alexa. Okay. I'll go first. So I will give this movie a giant roaring lion at the top of the Macy's Day building. Okay, one roaring lion. That's what you get. All right.
Fantastic.
By the way, I think those are the clues. I think those are the clues that he's actually crazy and none of this is real.
But we get Brad Pitt opens the zoo, so all the zoo animals escape.
Oh, we didn't even mention the spider in the mouth scene, Chris. You must have loved that.
Oh my gosh, no.
Didn't even get that. I didn't understand why he's eating
swallow
spider.
it
No.
so they could dig it out of him later.
No. Oh,
That's what he alleged,
Or
but
did he
it
just
doesn't
hold
make
it
any
in his
sense.
mouth and then?
No. You know, I'm kind
No, he
of
said it later. He's like, I swallowed it, and then he scolded him.
I think the one thing that I really wish that they would have showed us is at least the very first time that he time travels, what that process looks like. Because all we do is he just shows up in the prison all slobbery. We don't know, like, does he just appear out of nowhere? Does he drop from what does that look like? Does he just displace in exactly the same place, or do they put him at a specific place? Is he walking around in a Glad bag, and that's why the guys
I
beat
just
him up?
displace in the same place.
All right, Donnie, how would you
like
how would you review this movie?
I liked it more than you guys did. It's gritty and gross, and
That
I get all that. And it wasn't, it's not greatly acted except for Brad Pitt. But I enjoyed it. It's a good watch. I'm going to give it 81 Brad Pitt middle fingers.
I think he had
Brad
about
Pitt is basically
81.
flipping
I think he
off
had about
everyone
81
in this movie.
in the movie for sure.
All the time.
All right, Phil, what you got, man?
I'm going to give this 2 hairy butt cracks. Because they were.
We did see him. I don't know what the significance was, but he gets washed in the future to go into the time machine, and then he gets washed again, butt naked in the psych ward.
Those dudes are scrubbing him.
I know,
too,
that's
man,
what I'm saying.
with those brushes.
He's scrubbing down.
Let me amend my
goddamn.
scoring. I'll amend my scoring with 1 broken dam. I don't know. That's more from my life than the movie.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I don't know, man. I didn't even pick up on the fact that was Brad Pitt. They were scrubbing down at the beginning from going to the future to get the bugs, and he went up to the ground. And what was with all the why was he so fast? Again, this is another movie that was too long. It didn't need to be 2 hours. We didn't need to have the road trip to Philadelphia. We didn't need to have the I love 20th century music. We also, by the way, didn't need to stay in a hotel when she said Philadelphia is 100 miles away. What's 100 miles? I drove more than that today. I got in the car today. I drove to Detroit and I drove back. It's 4 hours round trip. That's 200 miles or more. I don't know. I'm guessing. And they're like, oh, phew, we've been in the car for 10 minutes. I guess we better get a hotel.
I agree that this felt long. I feel like they could have done so much more with the time that they didn't do, which I think is what it just felt like it drug on and not adding anything to the actual plot, which was like the hotel's a great example of it. Didn't really add anything to the plot at all. It was just a place to stop. I do. There was, and I forgot to mention this. Let me mention one more thing, and then we'll kind of start to wrap. The scene where did anybody think he was gonna murder what's her face at the little river thing that they stop at?
Oh yeah.
I didn't understand that at all.
I would have loved if he would have murdered her. That'd have been fantastic. Like that.
Wow.
Well, when they said on the radio she was dead.
So unexpected.
Hey, I watched the special features on this real quick. Let me throw this in.
Okay.
So they had a kid to play young Bruce Willis, right?
Yeah.
They
He
picked this
fell in a
kid out
well.
because he has the look. So they filmed some scenes with him a couple times where he just has to look sad. The kid can't pull it off. He can't pull off a sad face. So they have another kid in the wings. They pull him in. That's the kid in the movie.
Oh.
So if you're too terrible as like an 8 to 10-year-old to put on like a sad face,
You ain't gonna make it.
you're in the wrong business, pal. So sorry to say so. I don't, but yeah, that was pretty
Man,
weird.
it must be hard to be in the movie business and fire a kid.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
You're like, you know what? This kid's
Gilliam
bad.
was bummed out.
Yeah.
They were like chatting. They were whispering over behind the scenes, like, "Man, the kid is bad. Like he's like, it's just not good, man."
I wish somebody would have fired Jake
Oh,
Lloyd.
man.
Okay, so let's go ahead and start wrapping this puppy up.
We already rated it.
Yeah, no, we're done. Look, I
Okay.
I did enjoy this movie. I agree with Phil. It was a little long. It felt very slow at times. I think
Yes.
now that I understand the resolution, thanks, Donnie, I actually kind of want to watch it again. I will say that they turned this into like a sci-fi TV series that ran for about 4 seasons not too long ago. And it actually got some pretty positive buzz. So this has made me want to at least check out a couple of episodes of that and see what's up there. We normally finish the show with just kind of off topic. So just real quick before we shut off, anything you want to throw out? Anybody watch anything good? Do anything good? We've already heard about the dam. So what do you got,
What
Phil?
I was gonna say to Donnie, coincidentally, Brad Pitt was in a 1990 NBC television movie with Juliette Lewis. And do you know the title of that movie, Donnie?
12 Monkeys.
It's not California,
Back
right?
to the Future.
It's called Too Young to Die, and it ends in a question mark.
Oh,
It's TV movie.
Bringing it back. Bringing it
Yes.
back.
Too
TV
Young to
movie.
Die?
Too young to die?
Question mark.
Are you too young to die? Yeah.
I'm Ron Burgundy.
Yeah. So Chris, I
I'm
started watching. I watch, and you are as well. Dead to Me on Netflix.
I
Great.
love it. I love it. I am halfway
Great.
through. I'm halfway through season 2, and I love it.
Okay.
I think it's great.
Don't ruin it.
I'm not. I
watched-
do think that they are making. How far are you, Phil?
I'm trying to remember the last scene. It's been
Phil's
about.
not into all numbers and junk, Chris, man.
Well, I want to say.
I'm trying to remember the last thing I saw in Dead to Me. I can't remember.
Was it the boy driving the Mercedes?
No.
The kid? Have you seen the episode where the
To
kid
be
drives a
clear,
Mercedes?
This is not dead like me. This is dead to me.
Have
You
you
talking
seen?
about one of her sons?
Yeah, one of her sons drives a Mercedes. Okay,
No.
so that's
I
what
didn't see that part yet.
So then you're probably right there, and that's what I just finished. All I will say is I think that they're leading one of the lead characters into a same-sex relationship. So I mean, it's Netflix. We assumed it was coming, but
One of the main characters?
Yeah.
Why?
Netflix, bro.
I know.
What do you expect? Hey, I watched some classic stuff though.
All right, hit us. What do we got?
I watched.
Watch that. By the way, watch that to me. It's really good. If you're looking for something to watch, there's 2 seasons on Netflix. Check it out. All right, Donnie, go.
Okay. I watched Splash.
Okay, that's classic.
It's classic. It's good. I watched Clue.
That's a great one.
Interesting movie. Good movie.
Yeah.
I watched Blind Date with Bruce Willis.
Bruce Willis, baby. Kim
Basinger.
Basinger.
Yeah. You never seen that one? It's funny. And then I watched Extraction.
Oh yeah, I watched that too.
With what's Thor guy.
Chris Hemsworth.
Chris, you watched that one,
Phil,
right?
did you watch that?
I heard it was so-so. No, my kid watched it and said it was so-so.
It was okay. The ending was super weird, and that movie is brutal. Like the kid in that movie that he's extracting. I mean, that poor kid.
Yeah.
Golly, by the end of that movie,
Yeah, he's
you're
been
like,
he's
man,
been
how
through
does this
it.
guy even wake up every day?
He's been through it.
Could he
Anyway,
pull
What are
off
your what are your
sad?
what are your thoughts on the end? Do you think that he's really dead at the end?
Huh.
Of course.
Spoilers.
How could he not be? We didn't say who.
Yeah. Okay.
Who's dead?
All right.
Also, lastly, I watched a movie that I bet I'm going to say that neither one of you's heard of. I could be wrong. Virtuosity
I've heard of that.
I've heard
with
of it.
Denzel Washington and Russell Crowe.
I've heard of it.
I've heard of it.
Watched it though.
Russell Crowe is a virtual reality killer. He's in VR and he gets into the real world.
Oh,
and
that's
Denzel
right.
hunts him
Yeah, I
down.
never watched this. Was it good?
It's all right.
Oh.
It's okay. That's it. That's what I
Sounds
saw.
like Lawnmower Man.
It does sound a
It's
little bit.
better than that. That movie is terrible.
So I watched Waco, the Netflix series,
That's right. And that was good?
and they loved Lawnmower Man. They would like get together as a group and watch it.
What?
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why? What is that about?
Because he talks at the end about all the revelation and stuff. If you remember when he's like a computer generated thing, and he's like, "Oh, I am
yeah,
God
yeah.
here."
Yes, I do remember that.
I
That's a
think
terrible movie.
David Koresh was down with it.
Did you like Waco?
I did. I felt like it forced me to think about the whole relationship between government and religion. Weirdly,
Yeah, we're thinking about that right now, aren't we?
yeah, totally.
Yeah, we are.
Like it's really tough because it's like, again, this movie, it's a documentary and I would never be. I want to be really careful not to say that I think anything David Koresh did was okay. Like they if he was in there having sex with other men's wives and having kids with their wives and practicing polygamy and telling these guys, all the things I'm not down with that and it's not okay. But I also don't think like it just forces you to think about where do you draw the line on religious practice in the world and government intrusion.
Yeah, when you start blowing people away.
Yeah.
And I mean these guys, and this seems pretty consistent. This narrative seems pretty consistent with reality. They just shot these people up, man, and treated it like a hostage situation. And Koresh is like, look, these people, anybody in here can leave whenever they want. Nobody's being held hostage.
Yeah.
So it forces you to think about that in some weird ways. How far can you take that stuff?
Yeah.
It made me feel bad in the movie for the people on the inside.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. I do want to watch it. I've heard good stuff about it. So it's a great cast, man.
Yeah.
So
yeah, there's a scene in it when a little kid dies from being like cooped up in a room when they start pumping it full of that tear gas, and you're like, oh my word, like children died in this mess.
Yeah, I don't want to watch
tragic,
that now.
bro. It's tragic.
You just turn me away from that show. I don't
Yeah,
want
it's
to
sad.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
sad.
Yeah. No, I agree. I don't like watching kids die. That's not fun. But it
it's
happened.
peaceful.
It happened. So that's unfortunate just by itself. Okay, so let's do this. For me, I haven't really. I watched Scoob with the kids.
I watched that too.
I'm not a big fan.
Donnie
I
watched
really
it.
like Scooby Doo. They try to make it too supernatural, which I don't like. The only part of that I really like is that I love that Fred is in love with the Mystery Machine. I love that whole relationship. I thought it was fantastic. But outside of that, it was mostly just kind of garbage. I do love Mark Wahlberg as Blue Falcon, though. So good. Other than that, I watched Dead to Me, which is good. I've been watching Drunk History, which is super fun. Yeah, that's about it. Not really a whole lot of anything. So that's gonna do it for us tonight. So we're glad that you guys joined us. We'll be like 12 Monkeys. It is an interesting movie. We're close to time travel, guys. I think we have 3 movies left in our time travel docket. I believe they are, if I'm not mistaken. We have Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure coming up. We have Planet of the Apes. and then we have Back to the Future 3. So 3 really good movies to kind of finish out our time travel series. So excited about that. Looking forward to that. We have Movie Swap coming up as well in a couple weeks. So that will be fun too. But real quick, we are we normally post every 2 weeks. We are a movies podcast. You can follow us on your podcast service of choice. Just search for Real Amigos and you can find us there. We do appreciate you guys listening and being a part of the show. And that is about it until we get together again and talk to you guys. We are done. So for Phil and for Donnie, bye.
Bye.
I'm an insurance.